Hi, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a joy to be here. Thank you for that introduction, Colette, and thank you, Mary and CIPD, for inviting us along to speak today. Could I just very quickly ask you all, please, to stand up? And just for 30 seconds, could you find somebody you've never met before and just introduce yourself, please? Fantastic, thank you very much. If you could please just sit down. I normally try and start presentations that I do by asking people to do just that. So particularly with Dave's comment this morning about social isolation, I think it's important that you actually get to know the people who are around you. And oftentimes I find that the mood in the room changes just slightly and people become a bit more relaxed because they've actually introduced. Now, talking on Shane's presentation, I'm a little bit concerned that after shaking hands, you'll be smelling your hands for the next 15 minutes. But let's just hope that that doesn't actually happen. The world we're living in is an incredibly fast-moving and changing world. And it's interesting, Colette, when you were actually just doing the piece of the presentation there, you were kind of questioning whether or not, like, have we got soft? I mean, like, you know, people are coming to workplaces and you have to care for them constantly. Or is it a case, you know, that it's all about performance? And I suppose the key message that I want to get across to people is that what we find is that people are coming to workplaces and they're incredibly anxious people and they're absolutely exhausted people. And that's because of the world we're living in. And really, if you want to get high performance, which seems to be the ultimate goal for absolutely everybody, those attributes of the people who are coming into your workplace are not conducive to that. So the question is, if your end game is high performance, what do you need to do to get people into a position that they actually can perform to the highest level? So the changing world we're in, we know the amount of change that is coming at us constantly is exhausting. We're not absolutely certain what's happening in the world today or tomorrow, and the things that we used to be able to depend on, we simply can't depend on anymore. And obviously, you know, CIPD will tell us this too, that the world of work is constantly changing. The 5-year plan is just a joke anymore because we don't know what's happening next week. And we actually see that organizations now, one of the key attributes that they're looking for people is plasticity, the ability to change and grow and adapt, because they can't bring in people with core skills that just can do that job. They need people who can grow with the organization the whole way through. So really, that got us thinking about this new world of work. And I was in a conference in the States 3 years ago, and this is Professor Jeffrey Pfeiffer from Stanford. And one of the slides he put up was, he said, workplaces are killing people. And I remember when he put that up, I was just kind of saying, really? And then he gave some evidential proof to actually back it up. And the stats are really scary. He actually talks about a word that they have in Japan and China for death by overwork. And over 1 million people die every year in those countries from just that. He's now recently published this book with the wonderful title, Dying for a Paycheck. And interestingly enough, he was credited with an article whereby he said that the 5th biggest cause of death in the world is actually work. So I was sitting there listening to this and I was going, okay, there's obviously something really wrong with work across the globe. And there's a need to do something about that and kind of go on a mission. And we were sort of just looking at the world and seeing, was there a standard that organizations could look to say that if we reach that standard, we actually are providing a health setting where people can come and be healthy? And what we found was that there actually wasn't. There was no equal to kind of a great place to work, which is a global brand which kind of shows people that it's a high trust organization, in line with this in terms of the health that people are walking into. And you take it, your children, if you're actually bringing them through the education system and allowing them go into an organization, are they thinking that actually I want an organization where my children can be actually healthy and well, and where it supports them to be just that? But in our investigation of this, we were actually looking at the stats in the world today, and they are really scary in terms of where we're at. 800,000 people take their lives from this world every year. 800,000 people. Obesity is at an epidemic level. Depression and anxiety is at an epidemic level. And it seems to me that we keep trying to recognize changes are happening all over the world and also in our workplaces, but we seem to be still trying to use the same old systems that worked before in the world, the previous world that we lived in. So we're sort of saying, okay, we've got to do something differently. And in our studies, because we went all over the world looking at all of the research that was done on this, and one stood out really clearly, this guy called Aaron Antonovsky. What he did was, during the World War, Second World War, people were in concentration camps. And when that war finished and they were coming out of those concentration camps, most people were studying the people who were ruined and hugely affected by that experience. But what Aaron Antonovsky did was, he looked at the people who actually came out and had survived and were actually okay. And so what he did was he developed a model called the salutogenic model, which is, he said, I want, rather than look at people who get depressed, I want to have a look and see the people who don't get depressed in this world, the people who don't suffer from heart disease, the people who don't suffer from cancer. What are they doing? And this quotation I love. We're coming to understand health not as the absence of disease, which is oftentimes the way we do, but rather as the process by which individuals maintain their sense of coherence. And that's a huge word in our world now. How he says that word plays out is, i.e., the sense that life is comprehensible, manageable, and meaningful, and the ability to function in the face of changes in themselves and their relationship with their environment. To me, there's so much in that quotation. And for us, it was about trying to figure out, how do we actually manage to bring this to the world and provide a framework that actually works for people? Because in a lot of cases, a lot of this stuff we know, but it's actually, how do we actually bring it forward and actually provide a framework that we can actually look at our organizations and see, are we actually providing an environment and a space where people can be healthy and well rather than not be that? And that, obviously, the great side is that that then feeds into organizational performance. And I suppose the word I'd love you to take away with regard to this is sustainability. We've actually done research just in Ireland alone of over 1,000 people, a national population study, to find out what are the key drivers of your health. Because all too often, what we find when we look at Irish workplaces is that the workplaces are very well-meaning. They do a lot of initiatives around health and well-being, but they are just initiatives, and they're slightly random. And what we were seeing, that the ones that win out are the ones that take a much more strategic approach to their health and well-being. So the number one thing that actually affects your health and well-being are your relationships. The truth is, if your relationships are broken, so are you. It doesn't actually matter if you can run a marathon. So the physical piece is not the biggest player, but relationships. And you know that. You know in workplaces where relationships have broken down, people do not walk out of those workplaces and into their home life and become beautiful people. That affects every area of their life. The second area is financial health. So if you want people to be really healthy and well, they have to have a sense that they're on top of their finances, because that just weighs so heavily upon people. Their fear about today and making ends meet, but really a huge amount of people are really, really fearful about the future, because unfortunately, with the way we're living, we haven't been able to put aside an awful lot of money for what we need is our future. And the world of work, you know, people are living longer. You know, somebody born today has a 1 in 5 chance of living to 100, but they'll have to work until they're 83 to pay for it, if we're going to use the systems that we've used in the past. So we've got to think about a new way of creating new systems that actually work to support people to be sustainable in their workplaces right now. Third area is a thing called self-efficacy. And it links in perfectly with Dave and what he was going through earlier. Self-efficacy is, you know, if you have low levels of self-efficacy, you don't actually believe your decisions matter. You actually believe there's forces out there in the world that are, they're going to make all the decisions, and you're just like a boat floating along. Whereas people who have high levels of self-efficacy are the people who believe that their decisions absolutely matter, and particularly and crucially, the decisions they make about their own health, about their job, and about their career. The final area is actually a surprise to many people when they see learning and development come up. But one of the things that'll make you most healthy is the level of optimism you have for the future and your future. So lots of people right now are quite fearful of the future. They're not really optimistic. They're not sort of saying, bring it on, I can't wait. They're saying, hold on. And when you talk to people about that, they say, I'm kind of worried about technology and where it's going and the impact it's going to have on me as an individual. And actually, you know something, I may lose my job because of technology. And if you believe that you can't learn, develop, grow, and adapt and build a degree of plasticity into every aspect of you in your life, you're right to be fearful of the future. So when we talk to organizations, we say your learning and development is a key part of your health and well-being strategy. And they're really surprised because they saw that as a budget in some other area. They didn't believe that the investment they make in learning and development is absolutely critical to the health and well-being of their people. Because you see, number one part of this, to get this right, you have to learn about yourself and how you think. And again, lots of what Shane was talking about is really important. People don't actually understand how they think. They don't know how their brain works, and they don't know the effect that that's having on them and how it plays out. So that's brought us to sort of say, okay, from Ireland, let's do this. Why don't we create a brand which we can set as a global standard? Obviously, we've linked with lots of universities around the world. And in terms of this, we came up with a definition of what a healthy organization is. And you can compare yourself to this and say, are you this? An organization that enables its human capital to sustainably deliver on its objectives. And it's this art of trying to get the individual being sustainable, who is turning up resourced from a personal level, and then resourced from an organizational perspective to deliver in the new world of work and all of the expectations that places on you and everybody else. In terms of this, what we ask organizations is, what's your vision? So you know where you stand right now as a starting point, but where is your vision to bring the health and well-being of the people within your organization? How are you actually going to promote the things you're going to go after this year to make that journey? And how are you going to support those people? And what we found from talking to organizations in Ireland, they don't have a very well thought out health and well-being strategy. Lots of initiatives coming together. Second piece is the definition of an individual. So a healthy person is an individual with the vitality to flourish at work and beyond. Because those lines are blurred. You know that work-life balance is gone, work-life blending is happening. We're doing it all at the same time, all over the place, and we're working from one place and at home, and that is bringing a lot of confusion for a lot of people, particularly our children. So we've got 4 planks and pillars to this model, and the first one is about purpose. And we know that all of you here today, have an ideal version of yourself. The question is, how close is the real version of yourself to that ideal? Because if that is like that, and they're mapping over each other, the chances are you're probably well. But for most of us, it's not quite. There is a degree of dissonance happening. And really, if you're coherent, that's when you have that mapping over each other. And that's a critically important thing. So the sense of purpose and meaning you get every day, because what we find is that lots of people are in the wrong job, doing the wrong work, with the wrong leadership, in the wrong culture. And unfortunately, you're not going to be healthy and well if that is the case. So for us, purpose is about that wellness culture that I walk into. Am I walking into a place where I can be truly healthy? Is it a health setting for me? And is there a level of congruence and coherence and alignment between the person I feel comfortable being? Is there an alignment between my values and the values of the organization I'm actually coming to every single day? If it's there, life is good. If it's not, life is going to be very difficult, and I'm going to feel that this misalignment is playing out in my physicality. It can make me ill. And in terms of the alignment of the organization, is it supporting in terms of the practices to deliver on me being a healthy person? The second piece, again, Shane was talking about resilience, and this plays into having this learning and growing mindset, and that's what we're checking on. Do people believe that they're actually growing towards the future? The self-efficacy from a job, career, and health point of view, and also then we play on the Utrecht model of the work controls and work demands. So the question is, how much are you able to job craft? Do you decide what you do, when you do it, where you do it, who you work with? Because in the organizations where you're truly, truly healthy and well are the times that you have a sense of control over that. And you're matching up the demands that are being placed on you. And that's the piece. You get the balance between those things. And then the financial well-being. Third piece, and again, it was perfect talking about the social isolation, because this again feeds into this. The connections. It's oftentimes left out of things when people think about health and well-being. But to us, it's manager support. It's the ability to manage change and feel that you're supported through the change, because that's happening all over. It's a sense of belonging. It means that the relationships within your business are good and healthy relationships, and the bullying isn't there, the pressure isn't there, the peer support is there, the social well-being is there, and also the fact that I can be completely authentic. Finally, we talk about the physical health, but it's not about the ability to run a marathon. It's about the work environment. And again, Shane, it was so consistent. It's about energy and rest so that I can actually turn up resourced to do my best work. And it's about being fit and having the right diet. So this is the model that we'll be launching in June, hopefully to help people on that journey to get the sustainability piece working. Sustainable for the organization to be successful, and sustainable for each individual to come resourced and ready to give their best work. We'll finish with the 90-second video, which wraps it up. Thank you for listening.
The Earth we share is an amazing place. Humans have achieved so much and come so far. But our world is under pressure from strong forces of change. So many issues facing so many people. Our future is unpredictable. It feels like our world is out of balance. The demands placed on us are getting greater. Expectations of performance are getting higher. Life is getting faster. Too much pressure, too much information. We're feeling overwhelmed. We need to stop. We need a new perspective. Our work can be the answer. The ultimate accolade for any organization will not be profit, turnover, or shareholder value, but the creation of a place where individuals can flourish. A place where talent and roles are matched and people are finding real meaning. A place where people are growing, developing, and adapting to meet the challenges they face. A place where they are supported, connected, and achieving their full potential. A place where they are feeling safe, equipped and energized to do their best work. It's time to step forward and lead. It's time to be a healthy place to work.